Yeah, so I want to start with what's going on in Oklahoma right now,
Mm-hmm.
where the school superintendent by the name of Ryan Walters, wanted to make sure I got my information here
Listen,
correct.
yes.
This is the same guy who was doing the Trump Bible stuff.
Oh, good.
If you remember that story, where
I
they wanted to
do.
put Trump Bibles on in every classroom in the state of Oklahoma. Same
Mm-hmm.
guy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very very unhinged, very unserious as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to his board. This is in Oklahoma City,
Okay.
and they wanted to approve some new things they wanted to be in the curriculum for everyone in a public school system in the state of Oklahoma. Now they had given the board one set of guidelines for what was going to be in the curriculum, and then at very basically at the last minute, like at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday when they were scheduled to meet the next day on a Thursday, he went and changed 400 pages worth of stuff. And some of the things that he changed in there included the fact that he wanted to add to the curriculum that Trump won the 2020 election and that the election was rigged, that the COVID-19 virus, that it originated in a lab in China. He wanted to put in there that George Floyd actually died of an overdose, not of having a knee put on his neck for 9 minutes straight. And these were just some of the things he wanted to do. And he also wanted to, again, get this Bible back into the schools. So these are some of the things that he added, basically in the dead of night, with no real oversight. Now he's trying to force the board in Oklahoma to approve these things. One of the board members actually called him out and asked him, like, what is the reasoning for these changes? Because like you're adding all these things to the curriculum. You didn't really give us any kind of definitive reason why you're changing the curriculum. And his response was, your question is irrelevant. I have the authority to change this, and I decided to change this.
Whew.
So
He's
now
gonna.
Oklahoma is going to have to pay $33 million as a state to order new textbooks and new reading materials to allocate all of these changes if this does, in fact, go through. And it looks like it is on track to go through as of right now.
I am so offended by literally everything that you just shared. I'm just like, wow, this man's gonna make
Yeah.
somebody a great first husband. I I have just so many thoughts, but beyond the
Yeah.
insanity of each of these things individually, this is
Right.
what I would like to call the Trump effect. And what I mean by that is we have seen an individual who does whatever he wants, unfettered, with really no consequences. And
Yeah.
if anyone thought that the president didn't have already a lot of social power and clout, I think Trump has proven that it absolutely does matter who is in charge beyond bills, beyond political, leanings, whatever. How we as a people decide to conduct ourselves is truly a top down experience. And we are
Yeah.
really seeing this in action because this man, who clearly must feel very powerless in his personal life, to say the least, he has decided to take it upon himself. I don't know what his background is. I don't know if he's an educator or has any background in understanding all of these different topics that he's touched on from an academic perspective, from a scholastic perspective, but he's
Yeah.
decided that he knows best. How is this a thing that one person could come in and make all of these changes in the dead of night and they have to be accepted? Says who? Says how? Like I don't, and are we not going to challenge that? Because what concerns me once again, and we've talked about this
Yeah.
many times together, is the normalization of bad behavior. And to me, this guy is unfit to serve in this role. Period. You can't come into a situation and say we are going to teach our children conspiracy theories on the taxpayer dollar. We're going to cost our taxpayers millions and millions of dollars to repost and reprint, all of these materials, to therefore what's the word, satiate my need to have my perspective on the world shown that is based in no fact. No matter how many times these Trump supporters want to say it, Trump did not win the 2020 election, and there has never, ever been evidence to prove that. Let's just start there. I am
No.
so tired of this BS. And so the fact that this is now making its way into our curriculum is so incredibly concerning to me, when in fact what we should be adding into our curriculum are civics classes. We should be adding those back in, and we should also be adding in how to become media literate, as other nations are starting to do, especially with the rise of disinformation and generative AI. So the fact that we're choosing to do the opposite here in the United States is not only disheartening, I think it's criminal, personally.
Yeah, I am so floored by this, Natalie. I mean, to a degree I am not, and to a degree I am. So
Mm-hmm.
I think when I'm thinking about all the different ramifications of this, that's where my mind always goes. Like, what
Yeah.
happens from here, right? Because
Right.
with every other thing that we've seen, whether it was child labor laws or crackdowns on like CRT or,
Mm-hmm.
drag bans, or just go across the board, right? Every time that one
Yeah.
red state goes one direction, TikTok bans, like it's just a domino effect from there, right? And
Yes.
so I'm thinking about this more than just an Oklahoma problem. Like, how many other red states are going to follow suit after this?
I
Right?
know.
Like, that's how I keep thinking about this. I'm just like, they went so hard and like, we have to, get this really crazy ideology out of our schools. We need just to be just teaching math and teaching science and all, like, everything that they said to justify their bigotry towards trans people and their bigotry towards black people. They are
Yeah.
now, spitting in the face of all that, because it's always been a joke. It's always been complete hypocrisy at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Like, they want to teach their ideology to
Mm-hmm.
the children of America, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't want any dissenting views about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's really what it comes down to. And I'm honestly scared to see what's going to happen next,
Me
because
too.
there is no real way to check this. The way we have education set up in this country, it really is down to the superintendents of
Mm-hmm.
each individual state. They do have that much power, right? And so I hate to be all like doom and gloom about this and be like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't really know what the answer is here, but like, man, I think that there has to be a true reckoning in this country, because too many of Trump's acolytes feel completely emboldened by the fact that they're able just to keep doing these things that we've never seen before, and there is seemingly no repercussions to it.
Yeah.
And I think too many people, you know, are not willing to fight back. Too many people kind of are burying their heads in the sand. I think we have too many fake leaders out there who
Mm.
claim to be fighting back on our behalf, and they're really not. They just give us a bunch of lip service.
Cory
And
Booker.
read
Sorry,
my
I
mind. Read
caught my
my
throat.
mind. So yeah, Natalie, I wanted to talk about this one today specifically because of the
Yeah.
fact that I think of it as more of like a harbinger story. Like,
Yes.
what is
Yes.
actually,
Yes. Yes.
what's going to happen in Kansas after this, and what's going to happen in Missouri, what's going to happen in
Yeah.
Alabama, what'll happen in Kentucky and Tennessee, West Virginia. Like how does this go across these red states now? And are we really going to have a whole like half of the country that believes that Donald Trump won the 2020 election? They have never had any kind of proof of that.
No.
When Rudy Giuliani walked into all these different courtrooms to legislate this, like they had 63 court cases they brought before judges for the 2020 election. And when Rudy Giuliani got in front of these judges, he always said that he was not there to talk about fraud. He said that every single time when he was under oath and he was forced to actually talk to a judge, on the condition of perjury, he made
Mm-hmm.
sure to say that he was not there to talk about fraud. He said that
Mm-hmm.
every single time. And of all 63 of those court cases they brought before judges about the 2020 election, they lost every single one except for one case where the judge said, yes, you could actually get closer to watching the ballots getting cast because you were complaining that you couldn't be close enough to see the ballots being counted. That was the only thing that they were able to get out of all that. The audit they did in Arizona came back because they said
In
that, oh, well,
Arizona.
right. They were like, oh, well,
Right.
Biden didn't win Arizona. Came to find out that not only after they did the audit, not only did he win, he actually won by more votes than they originally thought. So it's always been a joke. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we know this for an absolute fact, Natalie. If they found fraud, if there was
Yeah.
any fraud, they would have plastered it across every news
It's all we would
airway
hear.
for years and years and years to come. So we never found any because there never was any.
Mm-mm. Period. And I think this just comes back to states' rights when it suits them,
Yeah.
federal law when it suits them. And it's
Yeah.
interesting to me that it always suits them when it's in their favor, But then when it's in their favor for federal mandates, then they're all on board with that. And I think that's my biggest frustration with the right in general, is just there's not a great philosophy here. At least stand by your convictions consistently. But they don't. They just do whatever makes them, you know, feel empowered, I guess. And so on this case, it had to do with states' rights. We have the right to set this agenda. But in this story that I wanted to share with you, from NPR, this one, they want to bring the federal government back into play because why? Well, they want to punish a blue state and force their hand.